Hey everyone, Andrew the Collector here.
And Eric the Cyborg.
And we're here to bring you probably the most unique deck profile that we've ever done. A combination of U.A.s and F.A.s.
Since the new cards in Phantom Rage gave support for both archetypes, I mean, they pretty much put the same support for affecting both. So we figured, why not do a double profile where one does U.A., one does F.A.
So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Get a little bit closer there for you. Alright, so my first lineup are 3 U.A. midfielders.
That's for U.A.s, and for F.A.s, it's going to be 3 Hang On Mock.
Each of our archetypes has their own gimmick. The U.A.s, their main gimmick is each of them has the effect where if you control a U.A. monster, you can return that monster to special summon a U.A. monster from your hand. It's a summoning condition, it's not an effect, it's kind of like Cyber Dragon. So let's say if you have a U.A. midfielder on the field and you have another U.A. monster, you would return midfielder to the hand to special summon the other one out. And you can only do that once per turn for each U.A. monster.
And then for F.A.s, it's kind of more complicated than U.A.s are, because with F.A.s, their effects are all pretty similar. Their attack is based on their level times 300, and for each FA spell or a trap card you activate, they will gain 1 level. For Hang On Mock, if his level exceeds 7 or more, he pretty much becomes a Dark Claw to where any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead.
Alright, so for my next one, it's going to be U.A. Libero Spiker.
And then for F.A.s, it's going to be 3 F.A. Whip Crosser.
Libero Spiker is it's another level 4 for the U.A.s, which U.A.s definitely needed because they were definitely lacking in the normal summon department to get a U.A. out, which was the only thing for midfielder. For his unique effect, if you have a level 5 or higher U.A. monster in your hand, you can shuffle it back, add a special summon another one out from your deck, and then return it to your hand.
And then for Whip Crosser, same thing for every FA, is that his unique effect is that if he exceeds level 7 or higher, your opponent must pay 500 life points in order to activate a monster effect in their hand. So for any hand traps, dangers, pretty much they'll just take damage for activating them in the hand.
Now for my next U.A. monster is probably the one that makes this deck a league higher than it used to be, is U.A. Play Manager.
Has Sport Opponent League.
Unlike all the other U.A.s, it does not have the archetype effect to special it from its hand, but it has its own special summon effect to where if a U.A. monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can special summon it from his hand. And then his second effect is when he is normal or special summoned, you can activate one of the following effects. You can either destroy one card on the field, or you can negate all your opponent's monster's effects that are face up. So he is either one pop, or he is either a skill drain. And going back, because I actually forgot midfielder's effect, if you control another U.A., you can activate his effect to pretty much do the U.A. summon to where you can swap out monsters. So let's say you have midfielder out and another U.A. monster. You activate his effect, bounce one back, then get another one out, and then activate Play Manager's effect to special summon during your opponent's turn, and then interrupt their plays from there.
And then for F.A.s, it would be Triple Auto Navigator. She is your Spell and Trap Searcher. She immediately adds the field spells to your hand, which for FAs runs a lot of field spells. So on summon, search for a field spell, and she can also summon herself from either hand or grave by targeting F.A. monster whose level is different from his base level by pretty much taking that difference off and adding that difference to her level. So pretty much just makes it to have your synchro plays go off from that.
Next, we're getting into the 2-ofs now. One UA Perfect Ace. His unique effect is that he's an omni-negate by discarding a card. That's basically it. Summon him in defense with a 25 wall, and you get once per turn omni-negate.
And then for F.A.s, this is the last F.A. monster that I'm running in the deck because there's not really that many good F.A. monsters besides the one that I'm showing you guys right now. This one is a Dark Dragster. He is a free summon. If you have a level 7 or higher F.A. monster on your side of the field, and you can make him lose 3 levels to target one card on the field and destroy it.
The next other 2 ones are Mighty Slugger. His effect is that he's an ancient gear. When he attacks, your opponent can activate cards or effects, and he's a 23 attacker. So
for F.A.s to supplement the lack of F.A. monsters, I'm running a couple extenders, which is the 3 Gakudoodles. It's a free summon. If you have no monsters on board, you summon it from your hand and it's treated as a level 3 monster. And if you just bring it out normally, it's treated as a level 4 monster. It's also a tuner, so it goes great with Hunk 5Rex.
Now your next 2 ones, probably your main beater of the deck is your Dreadnought Dunker. When he declares an attack, he inflicts piercing damage, and is it after he battles? When it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one card that they control and destroy it.
And then the last of my monster lineup is the obvious 3 hand traps of Ash Blossom.
And then my next, I only have 2 more. My next one is UA Blockbacker. He's 27 defense, and then once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, or is it only a monster? Oh yeah, so monster or monsters, you can change their defense and then negate their effects. Then my last monster is 1 Alpha, the Master of Beasts. He's an Earth, so he goes well with the archetype. Well, he's just a great interruption and a free body.
So those are all the monsters for both F.A.s and U.A.s.
So let's just move on to the spells.
I think this one we could do at the exact same time because we run the same exact card.
Yeah. 3 UA Hyper Stadium.
It is treated as a F.A. card as well, so it's searchable through Auto Navigator.
Yeah, Hyper Stadium's effect is that when you activate it, you can search out a UA or F.A. monster, or a UA field spell from your graveyard to your hand, and its second effect is that you can reveal a field spell in your hand, and then you can gain an additional normal summon of any UA or F.A. monster. So it's really busted. The only way that this thing is holding both of our decks from going just a tier up is if it retrieved any field spell from the deck to the hand, not just from the graveyard.
Yeah.
So now my next 3 are my only other field spell is UA Stadium.
And then for the big lineup of F.A. field spells, starting off with the 3 F.A. City Grand Prix.
UA Stadium is when a UA monster is normal summoned, you can search out your deck for another one, which is not once per turn. So if you get your extra normal summon with Hyper Stadium, you normal summon, search, bounce it back to special summon another UA, normal summon again, search again. And its second effect is that when a UA monster is special summoned first, it gains 500 attack, or all UA monsters gain 500 attack that are on the field, but that's mandatory. So it's the first time that it happens, which sucks.
And then for a Grand Prix, all your F.A. monsters gain 2 levels during main phase and battle phase, and then your F.A. monsters can't be targeted by card effects, Your opponent cannot target F.A. monsters you control with card effects. And if it's destroyed, you get to add a F.A. monster from your deck to your hand.
My next three spells are UA Signing Deal.
And then for the rest of the field spells for F.A.s, one Circuit Grand Prix and one Off-Road Grand Prix.
UA Signing Deal is that when you activate it, you can special summon a UA from your deck to your hand. And its effects are negated, and you take damage equal to its level times 300. So if you're missing out on any of your UA monsters in your hand, like your Play Manager or your UA midfielder or spiker, then you can just get it out of your hand. Return to the hand, special summon out another UA, and then go from your place from there.
For these ones, you don't really want to use them that much. The only reason why I'm running them is for set rotation, to just give it to my opponent, and then just somehow destroy it and get a free search off of it. That's pretty much the only reason why I'm running these two.
Now the next cards, you really don't care about your extra deck, so I'm running 3 Pot of Extravagance.
Still for the F.A. spells, 3 F.A. test run.
I mean, Pot of Extravagance is Pot of Extravagance. At least in my build, you never go into your deck, so you can. It's an Ash Blossom baiter, and if it doesn't get negated, then you get 2 free cards off of it.
F.A. test run is I think it's a mandatory 3-up for this deck because it is your main it's your main source of spot removal, because you target one F.A. monster on your field, change its battle position, and then I believe it's non-targeting destruction. Yeah, it is non-targeting destruction. So if something says can be targeted, this just goes over that. And then his graveyard effect is that you banish it to pop 1 card on your field, and you summon one F.A. monster straight from your deck.
That's good. Now the next ones, for me, I'm running 3 Foolish Barrel of Goods.
And for this, I'm only running 2.
So we'll get to that when we get into our traps. For my next card, I'm running 1 Terraforming because it's terraforming, and my deck or both of our decks heavily rely on our field spells, so might as well.
Yeah.
And into my 1-ofs, I have 1 UA Power Jersey.
I still have a bunch of more spell cards because this is a whole spell and trap centric deck. So for more technically F.A. cards is 2 UA locker rooms.
UA Power Jersey. It's a broken equip card. The can only be equipped to a UA monster, obviously. It gains 1,000 attack. It does piercing damage. If it destroys a monster by battle, it can attack again, and it does double the damage. And at the end of the turn, the monster equipped with it is destroyed. But if it's sent to the graveyard because one of your UA monsters was returned to your hand, you can put it back into your hand. So let's say it's equipped to a UA monster. It does its damage. Your opponent's still alive. Return the equipped monster to your hand to get out another UA for defense. Oh, would you look at that? It went to the graveyard, so boom, back in your hand for next turn.
And then for UA locker room, I haven't really used this card that much, so I'm sorry for everyone. I'm going to read it off. Target 1 UA or F.A. monster you control or in your graveyard. Add it to your hand, and if you do, gain 500 life points. Then you can apply this effect. Reveal any number of UA and or F.A. monsters in your hand. Shuffle them to the deck. Then draw cards equal to the number of cards shuffled back. So it's pretty much essentially a way to bring your cards back to your hand, and then you can just get a free mulligan out right after it.
Yeah. All right, now for the rest of my spells, I have 1 Reinforcement of the Army because they're all warriors. Why wouldn't you run it? And then 1 Monster Reborn because we can have nice things.
And the rest for my spells, 1 Monster Reborn because we have nice things. 1 for 1 for the Auto Navigator. Set Rotation for big field spells. And the 1 Call by the Grave because hand traps really hurt this deck a lot.
Now into my spell or into my trap lineup, I run 2 UA penalty boxes.
And for me, running 2 FA overheat.
UA penalty box is it's a you mostly want to use it for its graveyard effect, but its on-field effect is it's a continuous trap. And at the start of the damage step, if your UA monster battles an opponent's monster, that monster is banished for 2 turns, which is really broken. And its graveyard effect is that if it's in the graveyard, if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to search any UA spell card that you have. So if you have Foolish Burial of Goods, send this and search whichever piece you're missing.
And then for overheat, its on-field effect is that if your opponent controls a monster and you don't, you summon 1 FA monster from your hand and it gains 3 levels off of it until the end of the turn. So it's a nice little way to like stop taking like massive damage and stuff like that. Yeah. Its graveyard effect is actually pretty good because it helps to get your field spells back. Let's say you have all your field spells in your graveyard. You're like, okay, banish overheat from your graveyard to activate your field spell straight from the graveyard.
Pretty good. And for my final traps, I have 2 Solemn Strike.
And for me, obviously, the best hand trap in the game, Impermanence.
Replace these with Impermanence. The only reason why these are in here is because I don't have enough Impermanences to disperse amongst my decks. So if you have Imperm, put in Imperm, but if you want to go for a budget option, I would recommend Solemn Strike because it is the second best option.
And Impermanence is basically Impermanence. It's just a free monster negate, and it's really good.
I went to the extra deck. For my extra deck, I'm literally running just straight Super Poly and Waking the Dragon targets because honestly, you could really fill your extra deck with anything that you want. It could be if you're running a Super Poly variant, or you can put in Super Poly targets. If you want to build a Link climbing variant with like the Nightmares or Appaloosa or Borosword, you definitely could do that. So fill up the extra deck with whichever that you like. Just as if you're going with the extravagant version, just make sure that you build it to as an extravagant version if you can do that.
And then for F.A.s, it's actually use your extra deck. So for F.A.s, we're going to start with the Link ones with the Link Karibo and the one Relinquish Anima. This is for pretty much for every single occasion. This is mainly just for going second, just to take a problematic monster. If he points to it, if not, then Link 2, 1 Barricade Board blocker to help get your field spells back to your hand from graveyard. 2 of the F.A. Link, Shining Star GT. When this first got announced or came out, I kind of found it very lackluster because it wasn't like anything to do with the F.A.s because this one gains counters instead of levels. So let me read this off. It needs two machine monsters to make, which is really easy because they're all machines in this deck. Well, except for the Ash Blossom and the Chicken, but yeah. Gains attack equal to the total levels of the F.A. monster this card points to. So you want to have your big level monsters in the zones of where he's at. Neither player takes any battle damage from attacks involving this card, so it's just a good little battle. Just get rid of something. Each time a F.A. spell or trap card or effect is activated, place 1 athlete counter on this card. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can remove 1 athlete counter from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. I mean, it's pretty interesting as a nice little monster effect negation option, but definitely 2 is a good number for this one. And of course, it's a synchro deck, so you have to run Hawk of Fibrax. You just have to. It's a synchro deck. And then for the 1 Link 4, running Appaloosa. For the big array of synchros, obviously for F.A.s, double Don Dragster, he's your spinal trap negator by reducing his levels by 2. Yes, by 2. And it's once per turn, unfortunately. For the level 8s, one Draco Berserker Tangy, just another monster effect. Not really a negator. He just banishes the monster that activates their effect. So he kind of isn't out. He kind of isn't out to a Nibiru, because if you chain Nibiru, you banish it from the hand. It basically never comes out. And then obviously with the synchros, it's obviously Boreal Savage Dragon to get more negates on board. Now for the level 9s, one F.A. Motorhome Transport. The great thing about this deck is that it can go surpass level 12. Because with this guy, if he is level 11 or higher, he can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. But if he's level 13 or higher...
13?
Yeah, they can go higher than 12. He's 13 or higher, you can summon one F.A. monster from your graveyard once per turn. And the rest of the level 9s, one Cargo Dragon just for draw and popping. And then the brand new one from Phantom Rage, one QB Shen just to have a walking Macrocosmos on board.
Broken.
And then the one Xyz monster, since you're running a good number of level 9s, because why not? True King of all calamities.
I think it's funny how they allow cards to go above level 13, but they don't allow them to go below 0.
Yeah.
Or go below 1. I think that's weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the double deck profile for U.A.s and F.A.s. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, if you want to see a singular deck of both of these archetypes combined, we'll find a way to do that if you guys want. So let us know in the comments down below and get this video to 30 likes, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
It'll be hard, but we can probably see what we can do with it.
Anyway, stay tuned, and we'll catch you guys later.
Peace out.